Hi, everybody. This is Cathie Mahon, and I am the CEO of Inclusiv. And I am joined today by Berman, the CEO of CNote. Hi, Kat.
Hi, Cathie. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I know there's been just so much going on in the social impact investing space, and you guys have been such drivers of a bigger conversation about how social impact investors could be driving their money and their resources towards CDFIs and CDFI credit unions in particular. So I'm so excited to talk to you about all that today. But first, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about the CNote story.
Sure, happy to. So for those who are new to us, wonderful to connect. We are very grateful and excited to work with this incredible inclusive network. CNote is a woman-led social enterprise, and our purpose for being is to really close the racial wealth gap in the United States using the power of financial innovation. We really try to focus on how can we better leverage technology and a community-first framework to get community investments and mission-driven deposits where they're needed most. The story of CNote really goes back to my time in financial services. So I was managing director at Charles Schwab prior to CNote. And I think the aha moment for me was really around the wealth gap, seeing more and more every day, just this wealth gap turn into a wealth chasm. And recognizing that I was waiting for someone else to fix this problem, thinking that government alone or philanthropy alone was going to resolve this, just again, what was quicksand of inequality that was happening across the country. And so the thought that crossed my mind was, what can I do? How can I play a role to really address this inequality? And I realized that this tool called finance was something that I was passionate about and wanted to use more to really create more equitable systems. So I left my job back several years ago to start CNote, really with that core mission in mind, which is how do we support incredible organizations, CDFIs, to do the tremendous work that they're doing in a way that brings new voices, new actors, and frankly, new investments to the table so that CDFIs feel supported and can do more of that incredible work around economic justice.
That's so great. And certainly, I think over the past year, that chasm has only gotten bigger and bigger. And I think the need for efforts like yours to really be driving investment capital where the activity is on the ground to really try to address it is so important. How do you think that CDFIs and CDFI credit unions in particular, or minority depository institutions, how do you see these institutions really kind of fulfilling that mission, achieving that goal?
Yeah, so we started with CDFIs because I had been fans and familiar and working with CDFIs for over a decade before starting CNote. So I already knew the industry, I loved the industry, and I knew that these were organizations that had been working on economic justice issues for years. This wasn't new, right? But how do we further support those efforts so they're truly capitalized and supported in all the ways that are important to them, right? Really shifting the power dynamic. So for me, working with CDFIs was just a natural next step when I thought about who has been on the front lines of economic justice for decades, who sits within the communities that are most often underserved. It's CDFIs, right? Who's already been developing the products and services, providing the technical assistance that creates more equality, that creates more economic opportunity? The answer again and again, CDFIs. So for us, it was very natural to just want to step in and support CDFIs because of, again, just an incredible track record of already doing the work and yet not getting, in my opinion, the visibility and the attention and the capital support they deserve.
So gratifying to hear that. You know, it's for our movement to sort of be, I think, to be seen and heard. You know, and in the case of the CDFI credit unions, you know, as financial cooperatives, our member institutions are not just designing and delivering kind of safe and responsible products and services in their communities day in and day out, but they're also governed by the members of their community as well. And so that element of the financial cooperative, I think, so often our members see that as their guiding light. That's the way that they know they're being true to their communities, because it's their board members and it's their, their volunteers and their community members who are part of that cooperative, who really kind of keep them kind of focused on what is needed most.
Yeah.
That sometimes that means that they're not seen as much by, the mainstream kind of, financial services sector. So.
But I could not agree more. And that to me is the incredible case to make, right? We talk a lot at CNote about the how matters. It's not enough to just say we want greater equity, that we want to see more inclusive products and an inclusive economy. How we get there matters. And to me, I cannot think of a better example than community development credit unions. The cooperative model, the membership model, the who actually owns the organization model is nothing if not a model for our future as a country. And so to get to share that with these new impact investors and say, it doesn't have to be like this. And we don't have to step into these other models, these more traditional models that folks have just assumed that's all that's out there. So I think the how behind credit unions, the governance model, the membership model, the committed to community model is an example of what our future needs to look like. So it's just one more reason I think this is the time, and this is just an exciting place to get to share what credit unions have been doing for years.
That's so great to hear. And we're in a moment. Today happens to be, as we're taping this, it's sort of during a big week for CDFIs and for the credit unions in particular. There was a very big federal announcement made by Vice President Harris earlier this week about record investment from the CDFI fund into the CDFI field. And for credit unions, there was really a significant investment of over 400 million. And so now that we're at this moment, this sort of, we've got some shifts going on. I wonder if you could, I don't know, do you have sort of thoughts or reflections on what do you see coming up from your sort of bird's eye perspective of, shifts that are going on right now in the social impact investment field, and how might we take best advantage of this moment right now to be making our visibility increase and grow?
Absolutely. I think it is such an exciting time for impact investing and for impact investments, especially those who walk the walk like credit unions. I think what we've seen is two, I'd say, trends that I'd note. One is definitely a much larger megaphone. CDFIs in particular, right? Everyone says, CDFIs are having a moment. Well, I would like this to be the future, not just a moment. And so I think, the megaphone or the stage where impact investing is allowed to step on and shine, I think has gotten bigger and louder, which is incredibly exciting. I think the second trend is really new actors that are coming on stage. The work that we do with large corporations is one great example, where you have Fortune 500 companies raising their hand and saying, wow, I think I should get involved in this. I think I should find another way to express our values around racial justice, to show that we care deeply about the communities where our employees and our customers live. And so with this new movement of new actors, new types of impact investors coming on stage, I think it represents a new flow of capital, but I actually think it represents something much bigger than that. I think it represents an opportunity for us to collaboratively work together to recreate systems that are inherently broken or inherently do not serve those that we seek to really serve, as if we're all talking about an economic just environment. And so the real excitement for me is, yes, we're going to see new capital, we're going to see new interested impact investors, but I think the real opportunity here are, what are the processes, what are the systems, and frankly, what's the new power dynamic that puts the power back into the hands of the community, back into the hands of the community development financial institutions that serve those communities, so that when we think about impact, and we think about measurable impact, and we think about scalable impact, it's those community leaders that are making the decision of what that looks like. It's those community organizations, those CDFI banks and credit unions that are really on the forefront of organizing and aligning values and impact, as opposed to the other way around. As opposed to, you know, a few folks in a boardroom making the decision for all. So I think that the systems that we can build at this point and co-create represents just an incredible opportunity for mission-driven organizations, and particularly an exciting opportunity for community development credit unions to shine.
I guess to sort of follow on to that, what should we be doing to kind of pull together the information that continues to fuel the ability of groups like yours to be delivering that message? What would be the best kind of information or inputs we could be giving you?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, I think highlighting the great work already being done, I will say when I share with some of our impact investment partners stories from Inclusiv or from amazing credit union partners, you know, they are inspired. They are, you know, and also, frankly, it's oftentimes the first time that they've heard or worked with a credit union. So I think more about the incredible work that credit unions are already doing and getting that out there, I think is really vital. Obviously, you know, just understanding who's doing what, so that access to really understanding which organizations serve which community. So I think the more openness in terms of, you know, highlighting your already great work, your already great track record is a really important first step. And then I think the flip side is, you know, it's important that the impact investors share also their data as well. What are the things that's important to them? What are they looking for? And so that way we create a really healthy bridge and a really healthy dialogue so that those two kind of places or matches can meet, as opposed to just overly weighted on one side.
I know we're going to have you join us for our virtual conference in September, and be talking with us from a panel with other investors. And I certainly feel like one of the beautiful things about the Inclusiv annual conference is it really is such a networking opportunity. So it should give us hopefully some good opportunities to make sure we're getting that dialogue still going. You know, you had referenced before kind of a lot of the realization in boardrooms and corporations around the country about kind of their need to act. And certainly we have seen over the past year, certainly since the killing of George Floyd, that triggered just sort of national outpouring of, you know, a national reckoning really of, you know, our very discriminatory systems across the board, and not the least of which is a very discriminatory financial system that we all fight against. You know, in that period of time, there have been these great announcements of, you know, commitments. There's always an element of, you know, what is there a real there, and how true are those statements going to be? Is this a one and done kind of year? What are your thoughts on that, and the view of where you think this could be going and how we could take the best advantage of it?
Absolutely. I think the good news is more and more of our corporate partners are saying this has to be more than a press release. They're saying, I just don't want to do a one and done. I just don't want this to be a check the box. I want this to be part of our enterprise moving forward. Now, that's a really powerful statement and a really exciting statement. And I'd also say it's up to all of us to make that happen. And so one of the things that we're working hard on is to serve and listen and understand, how do we collectively co-create that framework that allows corporations to step into this in the long term, right? Not for a year, not for 6 months, not until the media dies out, right? But literally see this as an opportunity to step into a new future where community development credit unions play a pivotal role in what sustainable finance looks like, in what the balance sheet of these corporations look like. I think this is the moment where we can co-create that. And so I'm happy to share the sentiment we're getting has moved from how quickly can a corporation make an announcement to how do we do this right? And so I think the charge is making sure that there are diverse voices across the table, around the table, leading that charge to really create what this could look like moving forward.
I certainly know that following these remarks and hearing you at the conference, there's going to be quite a number of our members raising their hands to really get involved and to be able to be sharing with you their stories and helping to shape that future agenda of where investment could do the most value. And we certainly at Inclusiv look forward to this ongoing partnership with CNote and really continuing to be, you know, a conduit for connecting you all with our field. So I really want to thank you for your time today and for doing this this little chat with me. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cathie. We could not be more excited for our partnership with Inclusiv. We have so much admiration and respect for your work and for your members' work, for the incredible credit unions who have been doing this hard work, this frontline work for years. And so the ability to get to highlight that, to elevate that, and to drive more sustainable deposits and capital is it's just a labor of love. So thank you to the team, and so excited to continue our partnership going forward.
Likewise. Great. Thanks, Kat.
Thank you.